Well, as I sit here waiting patiently for Sunday's premiere of the of the return of the X-Files, I thought I'd give you a look at this and give you my thoughts. I had no idea this was coming out. I just happened to spot it at a local movie stop, and it seems to be going for between $15 and $25, depending on retailer. Best deals seem to be on Amazon. And it's not just season 1. All the seasons have been released at once. All 9 seasons of The X-Files. For those of you too young to remember, and by the way, that kind of includes me, my area didn't get a Fox affiliate until like the last 2 or 3 seasons of the show. But once I saw it, I was hooked. The X-Files is the story of Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, 2 FBI agents who investigate unexplained phenomena that are contained in special case files for the FBI called X-Files. Simple enough premise, and creator Chris Carter claims that it was inspired by a show called Check the Night Stalker from the 1970s. I cannot comment on this because I have not ever been able to see an episode of that series. But I can tell you that one of the reasons it appealed to me was that it also comes across as a cross between 2 of my all-time favorite shows. It blends the surrealism of the Twilight Zone with the realistic procedural elements of Dragnet, which still stands out as probably the most realistic police procedural program ever made. The characters even speak in a low unexcited professional manner, such as Jack Webb and his co-stars used in Dragnet, which helps give it an air of realism. The X-Files was created, in Chris Carter's own words, to scare the pants off kids, and it succeeded. Now, it may not seem like much today when on a PG-rated show that'll be aired during what used to be called the Family Hour, you can see somebody cut open a person's chest with a pair of hedge clippers, which is the sort of thing that even R-rated movies would be careful about when I was a kid. But it does succeed in that 70s sort of way. If you enjoy anything low budget from the 70s, like say The Exorcist, where things are more implied and it's shot more with a realistic style, then The X-Files is a show to watch. It looks more like a film than most modern TV shows, I will say. And when I say looks like a film, I don't mean with its budget. Season 1 in particular seems to have had a small budget. If you know what to look for, you can tell. But Fox wasn't that old a network at the time and was still establishing itself. But it does succeed in that low budget 70s horror kind of way, with lots of grit, lots of grit and shadows. Sometimes they be lighting scenes with just a flashlight, and many times they use realistic lighting in the early seasons, and it used camera angles to induce paranoia. As the show went on, it became more and more embroiled in its conspiracy arc, which is a controversial subject for fans, since it was made up as it went along, and it shows in places. The series ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, and there was a disappointing movie back in 2008, but for the most part, it maintained a certain level of quality that still puts it head and shoulders above many other science fiction or even dramatic shows. And if you've seen anything that uses forensic science, like CSI or House or anything, since it's been made. You have the X-Files to thank. In keeping with its film look, the Blu-ray set is presented in widescreen. It wasn't until season 5 that the show would make the switch to widescreen. And even then it was in the DVD sets, and I believe most broadcasts were still cropped to 4:3. However, it avoids a pitfall that many TV shows have fallen into lately, which is many TV shows get cropped, such as old Star Trek episodes. They're in a 4:3 frame and then they're cropped to widescreen. This is as bad, if you ask me, as cropping a widescreen picture to full screen for a film. However, the X-Files, like Babylon 5, was shot in widescreen. So this will be many fans' first chance to see it in that format. And I'll tell you right now, the Picture X restoration is for the most part excellent. The picture and sound restoration make all sorts of things pop, and you see all sorts of details in the background and subtleties of shadow and such on people's faces and such. It really is a wonder to behold, and I wish I could show it to you, but Blu-ray is nearly impossible to rip. So I can't show you a sample here. However, there is and the restoration, and the people doing the restoration, whoever did the restoration for Fox, their hardest job seems to have been with the stock footage, which the X-Files does use a lot of stock footage, as did every show back in the 90s that took place in a realistic modern location. And that stock footage tended to be in 4:3 frame and on videotape. In those cases, they tend to have done an upscale of the standard definition videotape and done a crop to make it 16:9. This looks pretty shaky, as do the few times when in an episode there are about half a dozen instances in an episode where there's a brief scene. I never saw one that lasted more than 30 seconds, but there's a brief scene where the original film negative seems to have been lost, so they had to go with a broadcast duplicate, which of course was in 4:3 frames, so you get a cropped picture and an upscale of a standard definition video image in those cases. The same thing happened in a few Star Trek Next Generation episodes when that show was put on Blu-ray, except of course in that case there wasn't a crop. And while I would prefer for archival purposes them to simply go with the uncropped picture and just have a shifting aspect ratio, like you see in such movies that have IMAX scenes like The Dark Knight or Interstellar or something like that. I understand that that would probably alienate some casual viewers who are clearly marketing these sets too, since they come out just as the show is coming back for a 6-episode miniseries, and it's all 9 seasons at a very cheap price. As for the episodes themselves, they mostly hold up. Some of Mulder's logic is a little dated now. We've had since this came out, we've had 15 years of living in the post 9/11 truther world, so some of it seems a little cringeworthy, but mostly the X-Files seems to be taking place in its own little universe that just happens to intersect ours, and where most of the things are done in a realistic way. And Mulder may be the first geek hero on American television who wasn't an annoying kid going yippee, and even today his character stands out. David Duchovny's performance stands out in the way that he underplays it and goes professionally, and while he will become obsessive over the supernatural and sci-fi aspects of the cases they investigate, he never comes off as bouncing off the walls like a lunatic or mugging for the camera, as so many heroes of his ilk do today, trying to show off their acting skills by being as bizarre as possible. And I've enjoyed plenty of shows, but it feels like a lot of people are trying to out Doctor Who these days. The X-Files doesn't fall into that trap. Mulder does come off as a professional who just needs to be pulled back from the edge by Scully, and that's why this show lasted for so long. Scully is, without a doubt, the skeptic, and she has a unique position in that she's the scientific character, and she doesn't fall into the Hollywood cliche. She's Catholic, and she doesn't come off as being anti-science at all, which is an odd thing to see anywhere in any Hollywood production. Religion is either not mentioned, or if it is, you would expect the true believer in all things supernatural and sci-fi related to be the religious character, since religious people don't believe in science, but I won't get into that right now. But the two leads come off as both charismatic and as a real team that couldn't succeed in anything they attempt without the other. And that's different from pretty much anything we had seen up to that point. There hadn't been many shows that attempted this. Of course, it's been done many, many times since then, sometimes by some of the same production people, but I don't think it's ever been done better. There are a few cringeworthy episodes. For instance, there's an episode where where a building with an artificial intelligence start running a mainframe computer in it starts killing people, and that is hopelessly dated and clearly written by people who don't use a computer in their everyday life. But that's par for the course at this time. But that seems like it was a cliche even back during the pulp era. So computers turning against their users, so it feels out of place in this. Also, I will address one point that's been made by many people, which is the supernatural and the sci-fi stories don't tend to really gel that much. And yeah, yes, and I will admit they don't. However, here's always been my solution to that. If you watch the science fiction related episodes very closely, they never really mention the supernatural episodes within a conspiracy arc episode. So, it's clearly while it is one show, I just put a divider in my head, just right down the middle, like Two-Face, where this side is the supernatural, the standalone supernatural episodes with things like demons and vampires and such, and this has all the sci-fi conspiracy arc stuff. And in my mind, they're two separate shows, and they don't take place in the same universe. Since they're not mentioned together, they don't have to. They just happen to feature alternate universe versions of the same characters. And voila. Another weak episode is Ice. And the set, so that's a general overview of the series in Season 1, and as I said, the picture quality is fine. So how does the Blu-ray set stand out itself? Well, there are a few weak points that come from, but these have to be taken in context of it being very cheap. When you open it up, you first of all, the cover is just some sort of cheap artwork with Mulder and Scully's faces cropped onto other people and just composite. It looks like it might be a promo for the new upcoming season, with just season 1 Mulder and Scully cropped on there. Or it might even be from the first X-Files movie, I'm not sure, but it's definitely not something that was created for the first season. When you open it up, first you have to remove a flap, an advertisement for the new season, which I always hate that. But then here's the thing, the discs don't have the episodes printed on them, so if you don't remember, so if you want to watch a particular episode, and there were more standalone episodes in season 1 than any other season, so that's understandable. The only way to find out is, and I'll give them this, they did print the episodes somewhere. A lot of DVD and Blu-ray box sets don't even do that, but they printed them on this, like the Star Trek sets. You see this? You have to take out disc 1 just to get them out of there. Also, it doesn't have any unique extras, and the extras it does have are mostly the fluff pieces from the original DVD release, all shot on video. Nothing new, no retrospective documentaries or anything. It's all fluff pieces with everybody just briefly saying that everything was wonderful on the series and everything. It's, you know, the typical late 90s, early 2000s DVD extra stuff. They're all very short and everything. However, it does preserve all the extras from the DVD box set. So if you actually want this as a replacement, it can work as a replacement for that. It even has all the original episode promos, which is something I wish more TV show box sets would do, because those are all, because to me it's always interesting to see how a network tried to sell a new series or to an audience. So, yeah, the commentaries are really where you get any sort of meat into the behind-the-scenes info, in any real behind-the-scenes info. However, those complaints aside, the series is presented well. This will stack up nicely. It's in a nice thin box, which, thank you. These are the boxes that I like. Stop putting out massive containers for your DVDs and season box sets. Companies, use this. I have limited shelf space. Use this, not this. And this is small compared to some of them. If you see the early Star Trek box sets, you'll know what I mean. Ugh. But, yeah. Excellently if you can put up with the occasional cropping and upscaling, and you don't mind that there are a couple of scenes where the cleanup team seems to have gotten overly excited and gotten rid of some of the grit that should have been on the film, then yes, this is an excellent buy, especially if you can find it in the $15 to $20 range like I did. So yes, the X-Files Blu-ray box sets, I'll say for fans, I'll say they're a must-buy. For anybody looking to get into the X-Files, if they see the new miniseries and want to get the backstory, I say take a chance on season 1 and go on from there. But yes, this is a good job. I wish that there were some more extras, but that's about it. That's about all I can say. So don't hesitate to go out and get it if you're an X-Files fan. And if you're not, well, it's a good place to start. And it seems to be going cheaper than the DVD box sets do used on a lot of online stores, so really I can't think of a reason not to pick it up unless you're really bugged by cropping a picture or upscaling. So let's hope the truth is still out there, and the new And the new miniseries lives up to this legendary start for this classic science fiction series.